I'm Bradley McAllister, founder of Spiracraft, and this is Spiracraft Live. And it's a dog day, a dog bowl day. We're going to turn up a dog bowl that I have made years ago. I was over here laying around somewhere with the rest of the hundreds of stuff. And it's a wooden dog bowl. And pop you over here real quick so you can see the overhead, the end. And I've got it in the truck. We'll take it out. And we're going to put a Rustina metallic patinaed finish on it. And I've got the Rustina products here. You can see the kit, which is the best way to get it. It's got everything in it you need if you want to do with some of this kind of stuff. And I've got the single jars here as well. Now we've got a little turn-in to do on this guy today. Not much, just a little bit, because it's a little extra thick. So we'll do a little bit of turn-in, then we'll do our finish work on it. And I hope everybody's doing well. Waiting to see the gang come in. A few folks show up before we get too far along, so we'll take our time. I guess people are thinking that I've been running late, so nobody jumped in right at 1 o'clock. And hey, I was actually on time today, believe it or not. And until I curse it and say that nothing has gone wrong, you know, nothing so far is going wrong. I'm watching over on YouTube on one of my monitors, and everything looks good. I think I'm going to go adjust that monitor for a second, just change the angle a little bit. I must have bumped it and all that good stuff. So this is one of those projects, God knows why I turned an inside out, and I call it a dog bowl now, a long time ago, but I did. And that's all good. So it is, I'm going to say it is poplar. It's got a poplar look about it. It's got one little knot in it. One little knot right here. And a little bit of end grain. Now the beauty about working with, the end grain is right in here. The beauty about working with the patina style paints, the metallic paint finish, is a little texture goes a long way. It actually helps us out. It's a good deal to have the little extra texture on there. It doesn't hurt at all, so you don't have to, other than big whoops and joops and all that, you don't have to get everything out. You don't have to sand it unless you've got something that's really, some tool mark that's really bad and things like that. And I wonder why that thing is held up there. We'll leave that like that. And okay. Do. Everything seems to be functioning fine. Yeah, it's been kind of crazy. Was I out here last week? It's been that crazy. I think I was. Yeah. Then I went to North Carolina, went to Georgia, and to pick my folks up, and went to North Carolina for a long weekend. And yesterday I was going to come out here and come up with a great, cool project. And as I was running to Chroma-Craft, as a matter of fact, to get some product, my wonderful Jeep blew a transmission line. And I ended up getting hooked up on the wrecker and coming back over here to Metter to home, picking up the Spira buggy, going back over, talk to the Jeep folks where I was headed, and then on over to Chroma-Craft. So it was one of those kinds of days. And, you know, sometimes you just get those. So I don't see anything in the chat column. So I don't know if I am by myself today or if the chat column's just not working. If you are on YouTube and watching, pop a little something in the YouTube chat column, and I'm going to run in and jump on Facebook real quick and make sure it says everything is running fine. So we'll see what's going on here. I'll put my own comment in over here. Make sure that things are popping up. Hey, there's Rich. Okay. Did I get the stickers? Here, let me show you that I get the stickers. I got this in the overhead right now. There we go, and we go there. Boom. How's that look, Rich? The sticker is perfect. So, Rich, you popping in tells me that things are working. I was starting to wonder if I was going to, if there was something broken that was on the other end. Hey, Michael, there you are. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're on vacation. Hope the train ride is going well. I think you're on the train ride this week. Hope you're doing well, Michael. Rich, so yeah, the sticker, I just put it on this morning. Of course, I almost lost them. No, I did lose them. They were in my mail in basket in the office. And I was like, where are the stickers? Be my luck that I couldn't find them. And I was looking, I don't know why in my head I had a white box that I was looking for a white box, but they were in an envelope. There was 3 of them, Rich, and it looks great. Looks real good. So that's a cool deal. S here now too. Not quite sure what the S is there, Rich, but hey, that's all good. So, because I've got the screen blown up over there so I can actually read it with these old eyes from over here. So this guy is just kind of stuck in here for right now. I'm going to take it out, show you what it looks like. Oh, the train ride was awesome. Great. Absolutely fantastic. So you can see it's a reversed, bowl. It's actually a bowl inside a bowl kind of thing. And if I put it in the overhead, is it too? Yeah, the overhead is zoomed in too tight, so we'll leave it like this. So this is some crazy thing I did a long time ago. And we'll end up taking this tendon off when we're done with the turning. Now the walls are pretty thick. I'm going to stick it back here in this chuck because that's a great third hand. The walls are pretty thick. And now here's what's crazy. I turned this years ago. I have no idea how long ago I turned this thing, right? And I must have returned it at least once because this thing is true for something that's been literally laying out in a box, cardboard box on the back porch for several years. And relatively speaking, it's dead true. And that's pretty cool. All right, let's hit the off. So if I take my calipers and I want to measure the inside, this wall here, I'm going to attempt to get up in there. And so if I can get that caliper where you can see it. Not quite, but you can see it in the overhead. So there you go. You can see that I've got about 2.5 inches, maybe 2 inches in there. 2 solid fingers, right? Plenty of room, so we can take some meat off of here. What I want to do is open up the bowl section so the doggy has a little more room for his food. But I also want, this thing is big. It's one of the things I don't want it to, like, our cat just blows away in the wind all the time. And I thought today I was gonna make it real thin. And then I decided, well, maybe I should leave it a little bit thicker just so it has some mass to it. Right, so that's where some of the turning comes in. I mean, it's perfectly true, so we're not worried about that. But I do want to come in here and make it a little bit thinner. So let's put on some overlays. So if we overlay that, you'll still be able to see what's going on here. I'm wondering if I need to bring that up just a little bit. I'm going to move this up just a fuzz. Yeah, I'm jealous of the train ride, Mike. That would be really cool. There, that's a little better. You don't need to see that top quite so much. I could use any tools to do this. I could use the carbide tools. I could use the bowl gouges. The question really is going to be what's going to fit in the space I have here, because I don't want to fight to take the tailstock off because there's a table right here. I don't know if you can see this table. And the tailstock now runs up against this table, which is where the keyboard and the mouse is for driving the camera controls. So it's hard to get the tailstock off. So I'm going to leave it on here. And that's the key as to what tool I can get to fit in here. And we'll put our air hose back up in there. All right. And let's see. So let's go back to, that's 4, 4, 5. All right. Can we get in here like so? This is a 5/8 Carter and Son bowl gouge. Plenty of tool for the job. You cross the entire province of BC, then through the Rockies to Banff in Alberta. Yes, that sounds so cool. I'm just trying to decide if I want to run this big a tool or not. I think I'm going to drop down. Again, Carter and Son bowl gouge. 1/2 inch. Now, I guess I should find a face mask to be safe. Take the watch off. Again, this is like programmed today, half turning, half metallic paint. And I need to be sure and leave enough time because the primer takes a little time to dry and the metallic paint is not an instant effect. So there'll be some follow-up pictures to post later on. Okay. I'm thinking that we can probably turn this thing at 750 based on how it was acting earlier. There we go. Yeah, I think that's all right. Try and keep myself out of the way here. Lower that tool rest just a fuzz. I do have the brake on, as you can tell. Let's take a little bit of this guy away. See what it's like in here. Kind of fun when you can't see the bowl gouge itself, you just see the cut line on the other side. Always makes it exciting. We'll leave that alone for a minute. Get the chips out of there. And I'm just going to use my hands instead of going back and forth with the calipers. But I'm going to open this hole up a little bit more. Glad my voice didn't crack just then. Not that it would matter. It cracks all the time, seems like. All right, so we've opened that up some, and I think that's a decent enough size hole for the dog, isn't it? Still plenty of material there, because I do want to leave some mass in this guy. Nice shavings coming off of the Carter and Son bowl gouge, nice and sharp today. Hopefully my head wasn't getting in the way there. And I can't quite get to the center yet, but I'm not worried about that. Okay. Stop and regroup here. Alright, that all seems fine. Move that tool rest over a little bit further now. So it's kind of funny, I'm actually, just so you know what I'm doing, this is about a casual day. I'm actually leaning on the tailstock back here, kind of as a rest, as I come around, so that, you know, I'm nice and stable. I'm kind of leaning on one foot, leaning over here, but that's how I'm working this. I'm thinking there's almost a knot down in there, or some crazy grain. Let's go right there. No more leaning on the tailstock. I'm getting a little vibration there, so I'm going to jump up one before I do something completely different. Just because I'm hanging about 2 inches over the tool rest in that corner right there. Sorry for my, I just looked up and saw my mask, my head was in the way. Alright, let's take a look at that. That was much less vibration of the tool. Little tear out right in there. Again, it's kind of funny when your studio equipment is what's giving you more trouble than anything else as far as getting access to where we want to be in here. And I am looking for one of my miniature feeder style tools because I don't have a full-size one anyway. Let's see, it's hiding on me. There it is. Now this will probably really rattle, but let's see what happens here. This is Carter & Son 3/8 Sorby quarter. Alright, let's try one other thing, real fun. We'll grab an easy wood carbide cutter and make this pass across the bottom. I could go in there with a bowl scraper, but I'm thinking I'd run into my tailstock and have a little trouble. You know me, I do not have a prejudice on tools. Michael, trip to NC with the folks was great. I was just talking to them this morning. There's some horrible grain in there. Just talking to them this morning, and they really, really had a good time. I was over looking at some curved tool rests over in I dug into one of my boxes over there, looking for some other stuff this morning. And I saw some curved tool rests that I've got that have been squirreled away forever. Let's see, we'll try this little scraper, see what happens. If it'll clean up or not. Again, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to spend a long time on it. If I'm heads in the way, I'm sorry. Right up to the end of the tool rest there. Why would I want to do something the easy way? I would never want to do anything the easy way. You know that, Rich. And that, I'm looking at some torn grain, right? Still, bring it around. You can't quite see it. When we're going to texture so it doesn't really matter. But I'm going to try one more time just to clean it up a little bit. You know how it is? You can't just let something go sometimes. And I surely don't want to sand on this thing. Yeah, sorry if my lid was probably sick. There is a little knot right there. See if I can get it where you can see it. Right there, there you go. See that little knot? Not that I ever am one to worry about knots, but... Alright, so I think we're going to leave that just like that. I'm happy with the inside. That's enough food. If your dog's bigger than that, you need a smaller dog. There's really nothing wrong with the outside of this thing. Maybe we just take that scraper and play with it. If I get it, I don't use the scraper. I just never really did. If I get a scraper in my hand, I usually mess things up. You know what I'm saying? I need to file up this tool rest. It's got some divots in it. Take a look at that. Certainly opened up the end grain, and see there's a knot right there. Let me switch things around here. There we go. So you can see how it really opened up that end grain, and there's another knot right there. All right, so let's see if we can't come back and clean that up with a tool. This is one of mine that has a really funky profile. And actually, we're going to go, because this thing's inverted.
Probably should round that. God, that got even worse. Let's go from the inside out like we normally would. Got plenty of material to work with, so I'm not worried about that. We could even put a little bell shape in the base here. We could do a lot of things. Let's do something here. Let's do something here. That thing's ground horrible. Who ground that tool? There's somebody once said of one of my tools. Who ground that thing? Me. We've still got probably 3/4 of an inch of material here. This is the tool rest, by the way, that is super tall. I'm not sure what it came off of. This tool is a little sharper than that last one. Let me move this banjo handle. It's hitting me right in the stomach. So right here is where I'm thinking about putting a little flare in it. Yeah, that cleans up a lot better. That other tool just wasn't particularly sharp. Alright, I'm thinking about leaving a little rim right here on that base. And we're going to take the corner off of this. We could use a beading tool, but we're not going to. We could use a carbide tool as well. So I'm kind of building up this base here, as you see. That's some nasty wood. Poplar that's 10 years old. There we go. So that's about a 1/2 inch thick. That's getting more reasonable there. Oh, that tear out still stinks. That helps a little bit. Wonder if we should give him a decorative lip up on the top as well. Make him a fancy dog bowl. Okay. Kind of playing with what I want to do here. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to take a little bit more out of right in here. I'm also going to clean up this edge. I'm really pretty much just kind of having fun right now. Right up to that little profile right there. Okay. That's starting to look a little more respectable. Let's clean up this edge real quick. Alright, we're going to leave it like that. Maybe clean that up just a fuzz because I got it. One little tool mark right there. Not that the dog would care. If it's anything like our cats, the dog could care less. Okay, good deal. Alright, let's go down to here. We're not going to work. Let me pop you here. Oh, wrong one. So I'm not really going to do anything to the inside. Underneath here, I mean, who cares? It's just the bottom of a dog bowl. Okay. Our wall is pretty uniform. I'll flatten up this bottom, and then we'll turn this guy around. Take this off. Oops, sorry for the pop on the microphone. We'll get this guy turned around and take this tenon off and shorten up that bottom just a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and start to play with our color. So this needs a little clean in here, right in there. Hey, there's my dad. Dad, I'm working on the dog bowl, and I don't even have a dog yet. Bridget's pushing hard for a dog. When I was up in North Carolina with my folks, my dad there and my mom, last weekend, Bridget was showing a dog to me in a rescue down in Savannah, and I figured I was coming home to a new pet, but that didn't happen. All right, mask back on. We're going to go back here on the back side and just kind of clean this up. This thing is, I bet I've had this thing 8 years unfinished, you know. And I'm going to actually use a round carbide tool because I want to make that a little bit concave, and it's the easiest way to do it. So I'm just going to take a a mini Easy Wood Tools round cutter here. And let's go to overhead. We're turning 1,000 RPMs. So I'm making that bottom just slightly concave. Okay.
Doo-doo-doo-doo. I think that's that. Let's get this guy turned around. Let me pop you up here. And let's turn that off so we can see the new Nova sticker on here. Good deal. We finally have our dog bowl. Now, I guess I should keep this, shouldn't I? Because, like I said, there is theoretically apparently a dog in my future at some point. Do a little house cleaning here while I'm at it, so I don't lose my Rustina products. I love having the compressor in another room. So I can't hear it come on. Hang that up there for now. Try to keep the dust to a minimum for the cameras. Alright, so this is where we get to get creative to get this guy turned around. I would say that's a pretty good sized dish bowl there. I'll pop you in the overhead real quick. That's the end camera. End's probably going to work better. So there's the inside of our dog bowl. Happy dog. Got him a fancy little rim on it. All that good stuff. Pop you in the overhead. All right. Nice little profile for a dog bowl. Okay. But we've got to get this guy turned around. And we're not really worried about hurting it. I don't have a vacuum chuck set up in here, which would be the awesome thing to have in here right now. Would be a vacuum chuck. But my tendon does have a center mark in it. So let's see what we can do. Over here, I'm going to pop you in the overhead there for a second. Overhead, there we go. And I'm going to look in my treasure trove of rubber chuckies. And if I was in the shop where I would turn all the time, I would actually have a bunch of jigs that I used to have. For doing this reverse chucking. And I don't want to take the time to turn something today. So I've got a couple of ideas in mind here. Let's see what happens. You just never know. That one might work. Hey, that could work pretty good. It's going to stick it out just a little ways. Let's see how this does. Pop this in the chuck. Just because it's got a split in it. And let's turn the speed back down to 500. Just so we don't do anything crazy when we get going. I'm going to take this tool rest off of here for a sec. And probably the best way for you to see what's going on here is from the end. So this is just an old holoform I've got hanging around. All right. And we give you that. So I'm taking the holoform and we're hoping it's going to center up on there. This is the quick and dirty, because all we want to do is get this tenon off of here. So I'll grab a live center. And as long as that turns true, which it is, it's just like turning something between centers. It might squeak. That's the one thing they'll do, is they'll squeak right here at the joint sometimes. But I used to do all kinds of crazy things. I would have all these extra pieces around in the shop all the time, just for this kind of stuff. Let's see what happens here. We better be safe and start at 250. So that's just fine. And what I need to do is I'm going to leave you in, I'm going to readjust these, turn that off, and put you right there. And I'm going to readjust the end camera now so you can see me take the tenon off. It's a little out of, because everything is pushed around and moved. So Michael, when we finally get where you're dialed up, we'll work on that this summer, because I'm not going anywhere for a while. You could be making these changes from right there, from where you're, well, you're not at home right now, you're on the road. But you could make the changes in the background. And I think we'll leave that right there. Hey, you hear that little squeak? As that live center hole went down in there, it started to vibrate just a little bit. All right, so that's my jam chuck right there, right? No big deal. Stop here for a second. So here's the tenon that I need to get rid of, and I need to take a little bit of this bottom off. So I'm going to cut away here and the tenon. We're going to cut this down to a cone, and then we'll just cut that cone off. All right, because this base is just a little bit, protrudes out from the bottom of the dog bowl. Just a little bit. So we're going to take a little extra off of there. Can I get in there with the long one? Yeah. He says, yeah, he can do that. He can get in there. Sounds like an old creaky floor. All right, so here's the overall setup. Tailstock's in place. Our piece is inverted. We've got an old holoform laying around. That's our jam chuck, or reverse chuck, however you want to call it, whatever term you want to put on it. Okay. Change the button. There we go. Okay. So-de-do. Gonna take my favorite small little guy. There's a knot right in here, and we want to be gentle with this guy, because I don't think it's going to go anywhere, but we still want to be gentle. Because this knot right here is right in the midst of the things that we want to take out. And we'll pop her up to 500. It's a little small. Let's grab a little bit bigger tool for a moment. You can hear that knot banging in there.
And again, we could use any of the tools, that we can go either direction here. And then we'll kind of round this over. Yep, that looks good. All right. So that knot, luckily, doesn't go into the bowl, but that's what's kind of making a little bit of aggravation there, if you will. All right, and there, just because there is a little lump right there. Not too much pressure on there. And we're going to open this up with a carbide tool, just so it takes some more of the material a little bit better. I'm going to flip this handle real quick. One of the beauties of a round carbide cutter is you can come right up in here, gently go across there until we get it flat. Now that is pretty far away, so get a little bounce. Let me sneak this up in here. I wasn't going to do this before, but now I am. So let's see if we can get up in there any closer. There we go. Just a little bit less overhang. Okay. That did the trick. There was a little ledge in there. The dog wouldn't care, but I do. And we're going to sneak right up under here. Alright, got to adjust. Now the easiest way to do this, I can do it with a 1/4/3/8, or I can use a carbide cutter as well. We'll keep going, and you can see it's tearing up a little bit rough, just because of the slow speed and the nature of this wood. But I'm trying to sneak up underneath that live center right there, and I was able to. Okay. So I think yeah, that gets me back up to center. All right, so we're going to cut a little cone here now. Get rid of some of that bolt there. And I don't know how strong or not this wood is. And I've got a fair bit of pressure on here. course, you know, my luck, and because I'm the one who always doesn't mind working with gnarly wood, so that knot there makes things a little bit rough. So if you don't have any way to grab this any other way, this is like the easiest way. And I see it about to break right there. Looks like that tenon is, or that little cone is just about to let go. So I think we'll stop it right there before it flies off. Because I've got a feeling well, it wasn't going to break, but we'll get the chisel out. Let's clear a few things out of our way. I'll pop back up here, turn that off for a second. All right. And we're about to start making a mess. So again, just another hollow form, reversed it in there. Worked well. Come over here, get my chisel. And I actually dropped the hammer, mallet. It's not a hammer, it's a mallet. I thought I dropped it in there. No, I didn't. I know where I put it, he says. I thought he knew where he put it. There it is. Good thing I don't have too many toolboxes in here. And I'm just going to slide this down up against the end, find the way the grain is running, and pop you in the overhead. That's the end, Brad. Overhead, little chisel, nothing to it. So that was just about to break. And since this is a dog bowl and it's going to live its life out on a porch, we're not going to worry about sanding all that up and making it all purty and perfect. Okay. So there's our bowl, and what I'll do is I'm going to get a couple things out of the way here, and then we'll redo the zoom, get this chuck off of here, and I'll bring up my little table, and we'll start playing with Rustina. So how are we doing on time? 1:50. So we took an hour to play with the wood, and now we have an hour to play with the Rustina. Cool beans. Make us a little room to work. Take that live center out of there so I don't skewer myself. So I've got a little plastic shelf that I've turned into a work table. It was part of the trade show world, but now it's the perfect work table on the lathe. Let me do some adjusting here real quick on the overhead camera so that you'll be able to see. So we'll zoom out. I may have to pull that table over about like that. Okay, that works. So, but you can't really see what's going on. So we're going to zoom in, and I'm going to move it around some when we do this. Because it's a big piece. I mean, that thing's 12 inches in diameter, I bet, without measuring it. So let me pop in a little bit closer, and then I can move it around. So I think that should do the trick. All right. You let me know what you think. Come up here, do that. All right. So we can kind of move this guy all around. And the other shot that isn't too bad is the end shot. And that might be even a better shot. So let me put you back in the overhead, and I'm going to adjust that end shot. Oops. What did I do? What did he do?
There we go. And we'll pull that out just a little bit. So that that's a pretty good shot. So that you can see the mess on the floor and all the good stuff. There we go. So that's not too bad. That's actually better than the overhead shot, at least in my opinion. Okay. So there's our bowl. There's our dog bowl. It's ready to roll. In the overhead shot, the Rustina, I've got iron. I've got two colors with me today. I've got iron and bronze. Okay. And I've got a primer. And I think I've just brought the gunmetal gray primer. And then what we do is we prime it first, and we let the primer dry a little bit. We put on our paints, and then we use our activator with the spritzer to start to activate this guy. Okay? And one of the things, I'm going to pop up here so you're just not seeing that. One of the things, I've been over at Chroma-Craft talking to them about working with this product, and because it tends to want to dry out, if you leave the container open, they strongly encourage you to pour it off into another container, what you think you might need, and not leave your actual material open. Okay, so we're going to shake this real well. And again, the best way to get it is in the kit. We have these complete kits, and it has all the colors, all the spritzers. There's 3 primers. One of them is called Road Rash, which has a texture built into it. And then there's iron, copper, and bronze metallic paint. They actually have the metallic particles in them. It's real metal that's in there. Well, probably my ice pick will work. Get the paper seal off of there. Put that in that special spot right down there. That may be enough. If we're not, we can always come back and get more, but that's probably going to be enough. Put that up there. So I'm going to pop this upside down, because we are going to do the whole thing. We're not going to leave it blank. And I'm going to put you in the end camera where you'll be able to see the most. One should wear gloves. I'm going to get on some gloves here. Just don't anybody give me grief about my shoes. I'll wear gloves if you don't say anything about my shoes. Okay? And you know, it's kind of funny. Like I said, the torn out end grain actually will help add texture to this. And we want a little texture in a project like this. Actually, maybe I'll just put this right up here. And you can use this on wood, concrete, metal, whatever your little heart desires. And I'll talk about it before I show you later on. I mentioned in the post that we'll put a food grade finish. There's a water-based urethane that Chroma-Craft has called WRU20, and it's a water-based, water-soluble urethane. And that's really cool to me. It doesn't really leave any kind of finish. It's just kind of it's like almost flatter than flat. And I really like it because, especially on this product, it doesn't look like you've put any finish on it at all, but you have indeed sealed it and protected it. Now I know that when I put that on the thing, it's going to make a mess, but oh well. We might leave that till later. I think that's what we'll do, because it'll make a mess. Michael, has your stuff arrived yet? Or has it made it to Washington State? I was talking with a customer yesterday, Michael, who was, what was he? He was in the Coast Guard, and somehow or another he ended up being responsible for things going through customs and people going through customs between Canada and the U.S. He was in the, I think the Coast Guard, he told me, for like 30-something years. We were talking about customs. I've got some stuff coming up from New Zealand for him. And we got to talking about customs, and he said he ended up at one point bringing a convicted murderer, possibly. I don't know. I can't remember. He said very bad guy. He had to come to the States, and somehow he drew the straw. It wasn't a product that he was transporting. It was a person. And it was an interesting conversation. All right, so that's that. I'm going to leave this surface till later just because I don't feel like having it. Not that it's a huge deal, because I'm probably going to make a giant mess anyway. Now, the one thing about doing this in a live stream is it does take, a little while for things to dry, and it takes a little while for the reaction to start. We're going to need more primer here. So we'll get ourselves some more primer. It takes a little while for the reaction to start to happen. And when I've done this specifically just for Rustina, if you've ever watched that, I would usually have like 2 projects or 3 projects going. And one of them would be one that I had already done at another point in time, or had done at least earlier before we went live, so that I could keep going back and forth between the different pieces and spritzing and coloring and spritzing and coloring and so on. And the real beauty about this, and it takes a little while. It's one of those black magic kind of things. It never comes out the same twice, which is cool because there'll never be 2 identical pieces. Is you can keep adding and spritzing and adding and spritzing, or just keep on spritzing. Yeah, that's a word, at least down here in Metter. You can keep spritzing, and it will continue to evolve. I'm just going to go, I don't know why I was worried about that, because I got to paint that tabletop kind of, sort of, or hold it up, which is probably the smarter thing to do. And on the Spiracraft website, there's several videos of Nick Agar, who this is one of his signature products, working with on the website. So if you want to see Nick, the guy who is behind this, and got his name on it and all that, go to spiracraft.com, and it's all of the Rustina product is on sale right now. The kit's 10% off. And the individuals aren't quite 10, but they are on sale. Jump in there and get you some. And the other thing I haven't talked about yet today is I am planning, Spiracraft is 5 years old now. Technically it was 5 years old on May 18th, but I was busy. So I typically don't think we did it last year for whatever reason. Celebrate the anniversary of Spiracraft, and so I'm trying to get ready to put together. It'll be just before and during the 4th of July weekend, which is just kind of the way it works out. The Spiracraft 5th anniversary celebration, and try and con some people into joining me live. I'll be talking to one of them this afternoon, as a matter of fact, on the phone. And do our Spiracraft, let me pop over here, Spiracraft's 5-year anniversary. We made it to the 5-year mark pandemic and all. So there's always something to be happy of, with, especially in 5 years in these times. It's a good deal. So I have a little bit more primer left over, and I'm just looking to make sure I didn't miss anything. And that looks, this is drying pretty quick. And I wish I had another project, but I don't. So this is not something I would normally do, which is put it back into the container, but I'm going to, because this is demo product and I'm not really terribly worried about it. It wasn't out very long. That's right, you're out traveling, so you're not in a hurry, Michael. That's cool. That's a good deal. What I think I'll do while that's drying a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and open up the two spritzers. And I know there should be a little red tab in there. Nope. Oh, there is actually. It's right there. And put one of our spritzer caps on there. Go play tours, Michael. Thank you for dropping in. Tell the missus I said hello and happy birthday. And have a great time. And we will see you later, Mike. Enjoy. Thank you for popping by. Talk to you soon. It was 2018, Rich. That is a fact. Spiracraft was founded in 2018. And despite my best efforts, it's still up and running. And growing. Growing, growing, growing. So, the blue is for the copper. If you can see this, let me pop the overhead real quick. That's the end camera. Anyway, the blue aging solution is for the copper and bronze. The brown is for the iron paint, okay? So we've got that ready to go. And this is drying really quick. And you don't have to wait for it to dry completely. I got to walk around here and get two more cups and a couple more brushes. And like I said, you can put both colors on. I wonder if I resined these together. Oh, there it goes. So I'm going to shake these up real good and stir them with the stick to make sure, because they do have solids in them. This is the bronze. And I've got a number of popsicle stir sticks here. And I know there should be a paper cap on here. And there is. And so you certainly want to pour these off and not put them back. Use it up, because you don't want to cross-contaminate. Once we start brushing this on, we're going to be having, if the primer's not completely dry, a little bit of primer, and definitely the two colors are going to be mixed on the brush. So do not put it back. Whatever you do, do not put it back. Use it up. So I'm going to take a little stick, and you can see there's solids on the bottom, even though I was shaking it very well. See these solids here? So I want to go ahead and get this, and I'm going to use the edge. I'm going to move that over so you can see just right there in the corner. Be sure this is well mixed, all right? Which will give our primer time to dry. Real bronze in here. Real bronze powder, I'm going to assume. like with a lot of things, what I'll do is so I've mixed that, and I'm going to leave it sit before we pour it off, and then we'll mix it some more. This is the iron, and I haven't shaken the iron yet. You can hear the liquid in it, but there's still probably the solids on the bottom, and I could be wrong. Sometimes, you know, they're different consistencies depending on the solution. Another mixer stick. This stuff is fun to work with. Okay, so no solids on the bottom of the iron. Okay. The iron will make it look just like rusted metal. And we're going to go ahead and it's also gray at the moment, just like the primer. And I'm going to set that right there. So there's my iron. Give it its brush. Not that we are going to get cross contamination here after a little bit. So it's fun stuff to mess with because you kind of just let your imagination go wild. And we'll set that off to the side. And since the iron is more liquid than the bronze, I'm going to put it on first. I'm going to put it in camera. Oh, wrong button. We don't want to play that yet. I went all the way to 6. It's not quitting time yet. So it's funny, they're both gray, but trust me, this one will change color. And we're going to coat the inside of this. And then we'll go back over it with the bronze. And then depending on how long it wants to take to start changing, how long you want to hang around, I'll stop at 3 as I've got a phone call meeting at 3 anyway. But I will keep coming out here and putting the color on this and spritzing and post the developments in social media. And it's going to be the coolest dog bowl going. I'm telling you. And by the time it's done doing its thing and raising up and all as it does, this little end grain you see here will completely disappear. And so just to be sure that all the iron has been activated, if you will, I'm going to go ahead and spritz it before I put any of the bronze on. Okay? We'll go around the outside here. Now you can go about this any way you want. You can wait and let this start to turn
brown, and then come back and add your other colors. Or you can do like I'm doing and do it all at once, and then just keep spraying both of them. It's really that simple. The magic comes as you go along, and it starts to change color. Then you get to play with it. You can add more of one color or another. You can add. The other thing is really good to do. I really have fun with it. See if that'll change. Multiple layers. So put on iron, put on bronze, then put on iron, then put on bronze, then maybe throw some copper in there. The more layers you add, the more interesting it looks. And just keep on throwing the spritz at it as you go along. And the layers build the depth, which gives it that look like it's really metal. And that's also why, like I said, you won't be worried about that torn end grain that was there, because it's going to completely disappear. So this is the bronze, and again, it is thicker, but I'm just going to go ahead and start swiping some bronze at it. And you can see it's actually, it kind of lifts some of the iron color up it as it pulls it together. And you can you can add lots of extra pieces and parts, nuts and bolts to these, and just color them individually. Like you could have rusty nuts and bolts on something. Lots there. It's only limited by your imagination. All right? That's what's so cool about this stuff. Now we're going to go inside. No need to spin the bowl for the inside. Oh, I should have been back on the end camera for you guys. My bad. Or the overhead so you can see down inside. Let's see, what does the overhead look like? Yeah. So again, keep an eye out for the posts on social media, because I'll mess with this for a day or two. I'll spritz it today a couple of times. Maybe add some more color, and then I'll come back out tomorrow, add some more color, spritz again. And so now we're going to use the blue-green solution for the bronze. And then you sit back and wait. Now, like I said, it is 2:20, so we got about 40 minutes if we really wanted, if you want to hang around. And I'm going to take this brush and just brush out some of my finger marks, because that will dry where I was grabbing that. Okay, so let's do this. I'll pop this. I'm trying to keep my screen semi-clean. So it's 2:22 as a matter of fact, right on the money. And we'll watch and see as this starts to change here in the next 15-20 minutes. And if anybody's got any questions, fire away. And I'm just going to leave these gloves on. And I think I'll pull up my chair and have a seat. And we'll see. Sometimes it takes about 15-20 minutes for it to start to change. Sometimes longer. Just depends on its mood. And then, like I say, the beauty of this is go back and forth and back and forth. Add more of the color, spritz again. One thing that's key, don't let the color completely dry out. If you leave it overnight and let it dry out completely,
and then come back with your spritz bottles, essentially nothing will happen. So you want it to be wet when you spritz it so the activator can trigger the chemical reaction, okay? And of course a watch pot never boils, and this won't change color as long as I look at it or start to change, but it will in time. And some dogs are going to be happy. That's just about the perfect dog bowl. Nice big base. I can't knock it over. I think it's kind of cool myself. So again, if, I don't know what kind of a crowd we have here today. If it might just be Rich and my dad and I don't know. I know Michael went off. He's on vacation. But if anybody's got any questions out there, pop it in the chat column. I should be able to see both YouTube and Facebook. I should be over in the chat column because it's a separate entity. What else? While we're waiting for this to change color. Back to Spiracraft's anniversary. So what I've done in the past, scratch the itch up there, is have a Google Meet style, and I can have a Google Meet meeting going on and pump it into the regular live stream here as just one of the inputs. And I've had different people come by and visit and say hello and join and shoot breeze, tell a story, do a demonstration. And I was gone to AAW. I was busy getting ready for AAW. Then I was gone to AAW, and then I went to North Carolina. So I haven't been around the office or the shop here much to start getting things put together. So at the moment, I'm done traveling for a while. I think I got to run back up North Carolina in July, and then nothing until we have 4 trade shows for Spiracraft lined up. We're going out to SWAT in Waco, Texas, as we always do, have been for a number of years. And then we're going up to Loveland, I think it's in Loveland, technically, Colorado, for the Rocky Mountain Wood Turning Symposium. That one's fun for me. That's the first place I ever demonstrated as a professional demonstrator, was at the Rocky Mountain Symposium. And then going from there over to Lancaster, Pennsylvania at the end of that week, and doing the Mid-Atlantic, the Wood Turning Symposium, and then come home after that. And in November, going over to the North Carolina Wood Turning Symposium, or up to the North Carolina Wood Turning Symposium. So Spiracraft's got 4 symposiums in the wings between August and November, so that'll be a busy time. And I probably won't be doing very many live streams in that block of time, especially late August and early September. But between now and then, I'm not going anywhere, and looking forward to. This was the last minute today, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, because if you weren't here earlier, I was driving to Chroma-Craft yesterday, and my Jeep transmission lines blew out on the Jeep running down the highway, and ended up getting put on the hook and taking it back over here to where I live, and then changing vehicles and going back out. So yesterday I would have normally got ready for Spiracraft Live, and that was spent doing things I didn't really want to do, but we're having fun today. I had fun making cleaning up the dog bowl. And the other thing that you can do is, I'm sitting here talking, I can keep spritzing this, and I will. And I'll spritz both spritzers. I'm going to get this banjo out of my way. Rich, I don't want to make a mess on this new lathe, that's for sure. So I'm going to move this over from the bottom. Here we go. And you get a couple spritzes upside down if you hold your tongue just right. So that's around for the iron. This is around for the bronze. And like I said, it may not do much before I have to run today, but it will change, and I'll keep after it. Until it's looking cool, and get it posted on social media. So yeah, looking forward to those symposiums. Had fun running up to Kentucky for AAW. It is in Portland next year. I haven't decided what to do about Portland. That's a long way. I know I'm not going to drag all the usual Spiracraft full booth out to there if I were to go. That's a long way off. And I haven't heard of yet what 2025 facility where the AAW symposium is going to be located that year. If it's public, I didn't see it in a search the other day. They know people were talking about it at the symposium, but they're still negotiating or something. They didn't want to let the cat out of the bag in case it doesn't work out. So we'll find out about that one of these days. And until then, well, we're going to keep chugging right along. I do have some new products that are going to be in Spiracraft here in the next 2 months. I'm going to leave that as a little bit of a secret for now. Will be new products at SWAT. I know one line for sure, actually 2 lines. But I've just started on that, so we're just going to leave that alone. But that's just a little teaser to let you know that there's new goodies coming. I have a bunch of Sorby tools I need to get, 25 new Sorby tools that I need to get into the website. We were the first ones to perpetuate bringing Sorby tools into the States here and leaving them now. So the small Sorby dealers actually have a bit of an inventory to pull from, and we help bring that in. And I brought a bunch of other tools in of theirs that I hadn't carried before. So I got a lot of computer work, a lot of office time coming. And when it's 100 and whatever degrees and matching humidity in Meadow, Georgia, well, there's no better place to be in the office or out here in the studio where it's nice and air conditioned. And it's just going to probably make me a fool out of me or a liar, and it's going to sit there and not change while we wait to 229. Yeah, computer work does not sound fun. You should know, Rich. You spend your day in front of one, I'm certain. There was some question I had for you, and it was about well, one of the things I started to do today, and this is why I came up with your name in my head, Rich. Viewer submitted project blanks. I want to kind of make that something that we do here on a semi-regular basis. And Rich, you were the first one to send me some blanks. I know you sent me a manzanita root burl, and you sent me a piece of eucalyptus. And Jeff Peters, who I was chatting with this morning and texting with, but he's working right now, so he hasn't been in today. He sent me a bunch of cherry that's been eaten up by grubs or ants or something he was talking about. Catalogs. Haven't seen the catalogs yet. It must be still out there in La La Land somewhere. I remember you saying you were sending some, but it has not appeared yet. So I'll keep my eye out for that. Jeff sent me home. He gave me a whole box of cherry. This all worm-eaten and bug-eaten. And I was thinking that they were solid rounds, short but solid rounds. And I was going to use that today, do a, yeah, no problem on that. Use the slogan of, viewer donated project blanks. And I came out and I checked on it. It's still out in the Spire Buggy. And there's no solid full rounds. I was going to use the Woodcut Tools little Wonder Cup tool and do some end grain hollowing with that. And then stabilize it, and then cast it, and so on. But they're chunks, so I'll have to come up with another project for that. Just trying to come up with some new ideas, some different things to do with Spiracraft Live, and involve those of you who come and hang out with me here on Thursday afternoons. So, as soon as I go in the house, it'll start to change. As soon as we shut down. So probably, I think I will go ahead and shut things down, because there's no need unless somebody's got a question of any kind, there's no need in us waiting for paint to dry, so to speak, on this guy. And I'll just come out and check on it after my meeting, and then after maybe my nap, a trip to the grocery store. So I will keep posted. I will keep social media posted, both Instagram and Facebook. In the usual places in Facebook, the Spiracraft Wooden Resin Turning Community and the Spiracraft page itself, as the dog bowl develops. So I think I will officially take my gloves off and come back and check on this guy after a little while. So we'll say our farewells for this week. Plan to be here next week. We'll come up with a project. Hopefully nothing I'm driving breaks down the day before and gets in my way of getting something put together and prepped and ready to roll. So again, thank you everybody for hanging out today. And don't forget, if you've made it this far, there is sale pricing on Rustina on the website. Spiracraft.com, colorants, Rustina, and it'll get you there. Okay, so now it's time for me to punch button number 6. And I will see you all next Thursday. Got any questions? Email, smoke, pigeons, you know the deal. All right, guys, thanks now. Bye.